Hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. I don't know what's going on, but I just took a look at LinkedIn. I don't want to touch on the technical stuff, but we're going to keep going. So, good morning, everybody. We're so happy to have you here. And we have a very special guest in Pat Missieu. So, a quick little background. Pat Missieu has been in the coaching and speaking field for over 30 years. To me, she's a mentor and a good friend, and I'm so happy that she got up this morning at 6:30 a.m. Central Time, I think it is, or somewhere out there, but it's 6:30 a.m. I know it's not Pacific. Somewhere Mountain Time. I think it's Mountain Time. Yes, 6:30 a.m. Mountain Time to be here with all of us. Pat, welcome to the Say Yes show.
Good morning. Yes, it is Mountain Time. I was up at 6. And you know what? I'm a morning person anyway, so it's great to be with you guys.
I love it.
Yeah.
I am so excited to have you as our guest today because John has been telling me so many amazing stories from his point of view, but I can't wait to actually deep dive into your point of view. But what I want to tell you is that every one of them is such an inspiration, and you have inspired John to be a better version of himself. So you are a superstar in my book already.
Oh, thank you, Heather. Thank you. I'm on a mission to inspire. That's really the reason I get up every day. So I'm glad it's working.
I love that.
So I know Pat has this mission, and so she deals with health, wealth, and happiness, and I love that because that is what you bring to the world every day. But the one thing I want to jump into before we even get started is the process of you getting to say yes to the show, because I know that was a bit of a process for you, and I'd love to hear your perspective on how you actually got to that point.
Well, it's quite interesting, John, because I don't typically fall into the bank of the usual and the normal. So it wasn't so much that I needed to go through a process to say yes. What in fact happens for me each and every year as I get very grounded on who do I want to become this year? Who do I want to inspire this year? I am so clear on my values, on my mission, and where and why and when I may say yes, that it's not a thought process at all. It's an easy yes, because I know exactly what fits in with my life mission and what doesn't. So for me, it's an easy yes or it's an easy no. I don't even need to think about it anymore.
So sorry, go ahead, Heather.
Yeah, where did you learn that process for yourself? Because that is something that I think is really missing, that clarity on your own purpose and your own values, and then linking all your actions to that. What age, what happened that had you learn that lesson? It's really valuable.
Thank you, Heather. It is absolutely. It's changed my life. I was introduced to Lou Tice and the Pacific Institute in 1989. And the Pacific Institute, Seattle-based, is an international private education organization. And all the principles that are taught are around cognitive psychological principles. In other words, mindset. And so when I was introduced to Lou Tice in Seattle at an event, Lou approached me because at the time they wanted to expand the market and they really wanted to infiltrate Canada and both French and English Canada. And I was the only person that he had been introduced to who spoke French and represented French Canada. So I was introduced to him. He approached me. Long story short, I was coached and mentored by him personally for 10 years. I was a facilitator of the programs, master facilitator. I was part of the International Speakers Bureau. So I was immersed in that world, Heather, for 10 years. Yeah. Had to go to Seattle every quarter for an in-service training by some of the greatest, I'm going to use this term, I think it's overused these days, but the greatest thought leaders in the world of positive psychology, like Dr. Martin Seligman of Learned Optimism, Dr. Al Bandura around learned helplessness, and so on. That was my world. So it's very much a part of who I am, how I think, and what I do.
Wow, I love that. And it's, I think for anyone listening, and Pat, we're going to go somewhere where women normally don't go, but you have found the fountain of youth in this activity. And I know that to be true because I'm looking at an inspiring face that just exudes happiness, but you're, what some people would say, not a young chicken anymore, right? And yet you look way younger than you are. And I don't know, do you want to share your age, Pat? Because I think it was just...
Listen, Heather, I shout it from the rooftops because I am so sick and tired of the beliefs that people buy into around aging and what we need to accept as the aging process. And it's like, I'm here to say, yeah, no, I am a healthy, happy 71-year-old, no prescription drugs, no aches and pains, no artificial body parts. And I say that because a lot of my friends, younger than me in their 60s, either have and or are in line for new knees and hip replacements and shoulder replacements. It's like, yeah, you know what? It doesn't have to be like that.
Pat,
and I'm living proof.
This is life goals. Hashtag life goals for myself. Like,
yay! Oh, my job here is done, Heather.
It's true. You know, even when I look at my parents, you know, 70 was all that they got to, 72 and 73. And, you know, so my definition of aging, that's sort of the end. And what you're saying is, no, this is still the beginning. I'm still finding myself.
Oh my God.
Love it. Like blowing my mind. John, I know you've got so many questions for Pat, so I'll let you
Heather,
I'm just getting started again. Oh my God. Look, I have the vision right there for the best, decade of my life. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, wow. No, I'm feeling incredibly inspired. I'm so happy that you said so. Redefining what 70s look like, and just like Heather, I no longer have my parents, 63 and 73. Like they're no longer here with us, and you know that was my model of the world. And so what everybody might not know is I actually reached out to Pat this year in March, and actually I met Pat originally, and I still have the photo with her. She was hosting an event. I went to her event in 2016. And I was so nervous. I walked across the stage. I'm like, I got to take a picture with this person, right? And I took a picture with Pat, and she smiled, and it was a great, like, it was a life-changing event for me and my wife because I took all that information, I shared it with her, and then she took action on it. I took action on it, and it was fantastic, right? So I reconnected with Pat this year because of what I saw, what she was doing online, right? She was doing hikes, she was doing weightlifting, she was doing these stretches, and I was looking at myself and I'm like, you know, I'm not even like 50 yet and I can't do any of that, right? So I reached out to Pat. And so Pat, you know, what I'd love to have you share with everybody is what got you to saying yes to your health and wellness? Oh, there you go. That's our photo. Even I look like a different person. What was the thing that made you say yes to health and wellness? And what was that defining moment that kind of triggered everything for you?
Oh, and there was a defining moment for sure, because, you know, the 3-day events I used to do in Toronto were part of my coaching stream of business, if you will. I would do a 3-day event. I would talk about my coaching opportunities for people and then fill my coaching programs for the year, and off I go. The rest of the time I was on the road as a speaker. I mean, that was my life, professional speaking. And I tell you, it takes a toll. I mean, I was very excited and very proud of what I built. So I was speaking anywhere from Argentina, South Africa, Los Angeles, you name it. What comes with that are different time zones, a lot of airplane rides, a lot of dehydration on a plane, some fatigue, and so on. So I had just been at the end of a 3-week tour, very intense, crossing all over. And I remember it so well. It was, and I worked out. Listen, I was a certified fitness instructor at 20 something. So fitness has always been part of my lifestyle. Now, on the other side of that, there's our genetics. My family, French Canadian, joie de vivre, eat, drink, and be merry. My family is full of diabetes and cancer and heart disease and obesity. And so I'll plant that there. And so at the end of this 3-week tour where I'd been crossing all over, it was a Saturday and I was flying from Los Angeles. At the time I was living in London, Ontario. So I flew from Los Angeles to Chicago because that was the connection point to get the last flight I needed to get home to London, Ontario. It was Saturday. It was January. It was late. I was watching the board for my flight. I saw the snow starting to fall. Delayed, canceled at 9:30 on a Saturday night. So I went into the ladies' washroom and I just started crying. I just wanted to get home. I didn't want to sleep in an airport. And I looked in the mirror and I did not recognize the face looking back at me. It was inflamed, gray, black circles. And I just looked and thought, this is it. Something needs to give. So the next day I called Jeff, and you've met Jeff. He's my enrolling sponsor with Isagenix. He's also my fitness trainer. And I called him and I said, like, what do I have to do? Amputate, liposuction, like what? Nothing's happening. And recognize that I was just postmenopausal as well. Heather, I'll throw in the female part there. I was postmenopausal. And so he and my other trainer friend said, well, you know what's your nutrition? I said, I worked for Weight Watchers for 8 years. I know nutrition. And Jeff, who's a great coach, he said, yeah, no, you don't. I said, yeah, I do. Being French Irish. He said, yeah, no, you don't. So he said, I'm going to introduce you to a 30-day system that will be a game changer. And I love and respect Jeff. I've known him for years. And I said, fine, as long as it's not those stupid shakes and, detox crap. And he said, yes, it is. And you will try it for 30 days or we're not working together anymore. He said, that's the way you coach. That's the way I'm going to coach you. I said, whoa, okay then. He said, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. You've got nothing to lose but the weight and everything you're complaining about. And that was the key word, Heather. I was complaining about. So he said, you either want to fix it or you don't. Make a decision. See, and Jeff listens to me when I coach because my key coaching tactic is around this.
Decide.
People do not know how to make a decision. So he said, just make a decision. So I said, yes. He showed me what to do. And I walked away thinking, I'll do this for 10, 15 days and I'll get my money back. Within 7 to 10 days, listen, John, I was a tough cookie to be introduced to this. I eat food is what I said to him. He said, this is food. This is food. So within 7 to 10 days, actually, I started to feel amazing. My energy was up. The inflammation was down. I could feel the weight coming off. And I thought, well, darn you, Jeff Borse. So that was the deciding factor. I didn't like what I looked like. I didn't like how I felt. I'm short. I was on flights all the time. I'm running through the airport, sweating like a fool. I didn't like that. Had to end. That had to end. And that was it. That was 7 years and 45 pounds ago. I've never felt better.
Wow. That is fantastic.
Yeah. I'm grateful.
I think the message in there is it doesn't matter what age you are, you can begin today. And also, what's the pain that you no longer want to feel in your life? What's hurting you? And if you fast forward 20 years from now, how bad will it be then if it's this bad today, if you do nothing? And the do nothing state and visualizing yourself in that can be enough pain to get you to take action. And people often ask, how do you change behaviors? How do you do these things? And honestly, you won't do anything till you decide, like Pat, and that you actually have a visual of what your future looks like if you do nothing, and a visual of what you do when you do something. Look at that picture.
Yeah, you gotta see the picture.
So you see this picture here?
Yeah.
It's on the fridge and it's in the fridge.
In the fridge. In the fridge. Okay. New activity. You want a before and after picture? Put the before in the fridge. Oh, okay.
Listen, we are human beings. We are typically visually driven and visually motivated. And there's nothing more powerful for me and most people I coach than looking at the pain. Is that what I remember how I felt there? Is that what I want? No. Is that who I represent? No, absolutely not. So every day I am driven, every day. And John knows I've got my 5 morning routines. Social media and electronics is not part of it. It's me time. I take care of me first. And then I'm ready to serve whoever is ready to move from the pain to a solution.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to give a quick shout out. Tammy is with us. Good morning, Tammy. Hello. Tammy was with us last week, so I'm glad she's here watching us. And yeah, say yes to pain-free living. What a great
Yes.
decision. No, it's fantastic.
So I flip that, Tammy and John. I don't put negative words in my mind anymore. When I think pain-free, I think pain. I don't want that in my head. I want to think vitality. I want to think movement. I want to think energy. I want to think. Those are the words I put in my head.
Ooh, I think that's another great life lesson, right? Because our brain doesn't know the difference between pain, it just hears pain. So
That's
what's
right.
the replacement words in our vocabulary that we're using every day? Because I actually use the pain-free too. So vitality, done. Like
Energy. Energy.
Yeah.
It's all about everything's energy.
God, if you hear me say like pain about my knee anymore, it's like you have vital knee, you have vitality. That's I gotta remember.
Yes,
John, you just get her on a call with me. I'll take care of that.
It's all about vitality and health. And actually, this is one of the things that we were talking about earlier in this week. It really comes down to decisions and language. Actually, language is a big part of, what are we saying to ourselves? Because that is those things that get us to yes. And sometimes the moment is excruciating pain, looking in the mirror and saying, I don't want this anymore.
Yeah.
And you make that, like, really, it just comes down to a decision. Some people say, I need to take time to think about this. No, you don't. Just decide right here, right now, what decision you're going to make, and then take action on that decision. A lot of people decide. And
make the decision, and if necessary, then make the decision right. But just make a decision.
Yeah. No, you lose so much energy in indecision or not making indecision. Yeah, not making a decision. That is a decision. You not making a decision.
I'll tell you my definition of indecision. That is a form of self-abuse.
Say more about that, Pat.
Yeah, say more.
Indecision is a form of self-abuse. It puts you in a state of distress, discomfort, worry, have to. Think about that. That's not positive energy.
No.
And that's why I say make a decision, and then if necessary, make the decision right. But make that decision, get it out of your head, get it off your to-do list, just move on.
Yeah, because
times are passing.
You can't know that it's a right decision or a wrong decision until you make something happen, right?
Yes, exactly. Yep, I love talking to all you youngins.
I know, when you call me a youngin, I'm like, wait a minute. I got kids in their 20s, right? Like my stepkids are in their 20s.
I have grandkids in their 20s.
I'm the youngin. I'm like, wait a minute. I love that. I love that because I feel fantastic when you say, hey, youngin. It's actually, it's funny you say that because what actually shows up for me is I start to feel young again, right? Because there's those moments where it's like, I'm getting close to 50 and I'm like, but I'm still young. So that's okay. So, reinforcing that.
I have my 75th birthday planned and I have my 100th birthday planned.
Wow.
What? I know exactly. I'm living my life by intent. And that's why, again, it comes back to the whole question when John, you said, so would you do this at like 6:30 a.m.? Yeah. There's no question about it. Others have been asking me things and it's a clear no. Not no in a story. It's just a clear no. And or it's a clear yes. So I live by intent. I have things to look forward to. I create a life of pleasure and enjoyment. I have my boundaries. So it's easy to be joy-filled and energetic.
Oh my God, that's so fantastic.
You youngins.
That's you too, Heather. It's not just me anymore.
I'll take it for sure. Pat, we always leave our audience with a call to action, a challenge, a focus on this weekend. What would you like to throw out to our audience to say, focus on this weekend, try it on, see how it works for you? And
Heather is my favorite thing. It's my favorite thing. Yeah, I'm known as a bag lady. And I always have this handy for podcasts or virtual keynotes or what have you. Everything that we do, our actions, our results, all start with the way we think, right? We move towards what we think about. We become what we think about. And so I love to leave people with a 24-hour homework assignment. And that is for 24 hours, no negativity. And what that means is no sarcasm, no teasing, no belittling, no devaluing to yourself or anybody else.
Okay.
Now, how do we know that this is happening? Because as human beings, we become very good at being negative. Very good. It's a jungle out there. So it's a do-it-yourself project. So change starts with awareness, and change typically starts with pain. So I invite you and your audience to pull out a rubber band, an elastic band, put it on your dominant wrist for 24 hours. Because now what's going to happen is this is an awareness tool. And you're going to recognize and remember my words for 24 hours. When you sense negativity, oh, that's too hard. I'm not good enough. I'm too old. I'm too young, whatever. Before it comes out of your mouth, I want you to give yourself a snap. That's the awareness. That's pain. That's pain. And when I speak, I have a whole bag full because people say I'm going to need 2 or 3 of those to get through the day. And for many people, this becomes the quietest 24 hours in their life because they recognize finally what's coming out of their mouth, which is harmful to self and harmful to others. That's why I'm very aware of my mission to inspire, because there's some simple techniques that will change your life. So that's what I want to leave people with, Heather. 24 hours, get one of these, put it on your wrist, focus on what's going on in your head, and you have the ability to make a change every time you snap that puppy.
Fantastic. And you know, the idea is start now. It's not start like when you're done your workday. Start now. It's thing. Yeah.
Yeah, find a rubber band. And I remember going through this exercise for the first time, Pat, back in 2016. I had a bruise.
I've carried this for 30 years,
bad.
John.
It's so bad. I had a bruise. And, you know, my wife would look at me and she's like, what's going on? How come your arms are all bruised up? I'm like, I'm not thinking right. So it's showing up on my arms, right? So a great exercise. Love it. So simple, right?
Yeah.
And that's, you know, that's what I love about what you teach others as well, Pat, is you just keep it simple, right?
Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Make it fun.
Yeah.
Enjoy the journey.
Enjoy the journey. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So we are actually over time, but that's okay. Great conversation, great tips, great tools. Thank you, everybody, for jumping in this morning and listening to us. And thank you, Pat, for getting up this early. Actually, that's not even a thing anymore. So we're just going to drop it.
I'm up anyway.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us this morning, sharing your wisdom, your insights, and just your love with everybody here today. So it's been amazing. It's been incredible. And we will be back for everybody else. We'll be back on Monday. You have your homework assignment for the weekend, rubber band, negative thoughts, and hopefully you don't get a big bruise like I did. And wishing you all an amazing weekend. Thanks again. Thanks, Heather. Thanks, Pat.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Ciao, everybody.
Bye, Heather.